Cart abandonment is one of the biggest challenges for any online seller. But first, what exactly is cart abandonment? Well, put simply, it's when a shopper, your customer, puts an item in their cart but does not complete their purchase. They do not enter their payment details and they abandon the cart. Now, wouldn't it be great if you had some tools that could help nudge the buyer to complete their sale? They've shown interest in the product, but they just need that extra incentive to enter their payment details. Thankfully, we at SendOwl agree. So let's take a look at the cart abandonment tools in the SendOwl control panel. First step is head to the marketing section in the SendOwl control panel and then click the cart abandonments link. Let's jump right in and create a new action. Now this will trigger whenever a buyer abandons their cart. We've made this as simple as possible, and the first step is to enter the name of the action. In this case, we'll call it Don't Go. Don't worry, the name is not seen by your customers and it's just for your needs. Next, you can enable or disable the action, meaning that if you want to test different actions and configurations, you can disable this one and create a new one. In this case, we'll leave it enabled. You can also make the action product specific, effectively meaning you can get very granular in how you entice the buyer to complete their cart. Next are the actions you can configure, and they're broken down into whether we have the buyer's email address or whether they close their carts before we could capture it. Looking at the options for where we do have the buyer's address, you can select to email the buyer after a set delay. Selecting 0 will send the email straight away, but you might want to email them after 1.5 hours or 2.5 hours. Click the up and down arrow to select the time interval. The email we send is in the email template section and is linked to in the small help icon. Let's take a look at that in a new tab. Just as with all the emails we send, you can edit everything about the email from the subject to the messaging. Let's go back to the actions page. You can also select to subscribe the buyer to a specific mailing list. Note there is a 3-hour delay before adding the buyer's email to the mailing list. And if they purchase the item within that 3-hour window, we do not forward their email. Now let's look at the options for when we don't have the buyer's email address. The first option is to display an offer, and when you enable that option, a bunch more configurations are shown. Firstly, we can enter the offer text itself. Then we can upload an image or even some custom HTML. In this case, I'm just going to upload an image. Lastly, we can even offer a discount to the buyer from our existing discount list. In this case, I'm going to choose a 50% discount. Before we go much further, let's take a step back and see what this might actually look like to the customer. And here we are on our Spartan test store. Now the buyer clicks the Add to Cart button and they like what they see. They want to buy the digital file product and they go to checkout. However, on the next page, they decide not to enter their details and they close the cart. This is where the offer pops up that we defined earlier. And if they're now convinced to buy it at a 50% discount, they can click Yes, please. Note that the discount we selected where configuring the action is automatically applied. So back to the cart abandonment page, we can look at the last action, which is selecting to trigger a script. An example might be a Facebook retargeting script, and you enter that into this field. Now that will fire on an abandoned cart and trigger the retargeting process in Facebook. And that's it. While refinements and possibly more options might be available in the future, that's the basis of cart abandonment at SendOwl.